The American dream is often painted as a straight line: work hard, save money, and retire quietly. But for a select group of women, that dream wasn't enough. They didn't just want to participate in the economy, they wanted to own it. We are talking about Filipina entrepreneurs who crossed the Pacific not just with luggage, but with a blueprint for empire building. These are the women who looked at Wall Street, Silicon Valley, and the luxury fashion runways of New York and saw not barriers, but vacancies. They are the iron ladies of industry who turned frustration into fortune, creating billion-dollar semiconductor companies, redefining the global care economy, and dressing the first ladies of the United States. From the Wonder Woman of Wall Street to the ghost billionaire of Silicon Valley, whose face you've likely never seen, these women have collectively generated billions in wealth. They didn't just break the glass ceiling, they shattered the bamboo ceiling, proving that in the high-stakes game of American capitalism, the most formidable player might just be a Filipina with a plan. Today, we are counting down the 11 richest and most influential Filipina entrepreneurs in America. Their net worths are staggering. Their stories are unlikely, and the woman at number 1 is sitting on a fortune so vast she could fund a small country. Number 11. Nicole Ponka. We begin our countdown with the woman who declared war on the cheap and greasy stereotype of Filipino cuisine and built a hospitality brand that forced the New York Times to pay attention. Nicole Ponka is not just a restaurateur, she is a cultural architect. Before her, Filipino food in America was largely confined to turo-turo joints and mom-and-pop counters, beloved by the community but ignored by the Michelin Guide. Nicole, a former advertising executive who spent her days strategizing for Fortune 500 brands, looked at the culinary landscape of New York City and saw a gaping hole where her heritage should be. She didn't just open a restaurant, she orchestrated a movement. Working double shifts, advertising by day, scrubbing floors and washing dishes by night, she launched Maharlika and later Jeepney, gastropubs that introduced balut and Kamayan feasts to the Manhattan elite. She took the flavors of the Philippines, wrapped them in the swagger of the East Village, and created a dining experience that was unapologetically loud and proud. Her wealth isn't just in her restaurant revenue, which broke records for Filipino establishments in the US, but in her intellectual property. She authored I Am a Filipino, a cookbook that became a James Beard Award finalist, effectively rewriting the curriculum for how Filipino food is taught and valued in the West. Nicole's entrepreneurship is a masterclass in cultural equity, taking an undervalued asset, which in this case was her own culture, and polishing it until the market had no choice but to pay a premium. She proved that you can build a thriving business by selling not just food, but dignity. Number 10. Rayisa Jirona. While Nicole Ponka was redefining the dinner table, our next entrepreneur was redefining the wardrobe of the entire Instagram generation. Rayisa Jirona is the chief brand officer of Revolve, but to call her an executive would be a massive understatement. She is the co-founder of the brands that powered Revolve's rise to a multi-billion-dollar IPO. Born in the Philippines and raised in the San Fernando Valley, Rayisa started her journey in a way many immigrants do, with a side hustle. She began selling vintage clothes online, a small venture that eventually morphed into her own label, Lovers Plus Friends. But Rayisa's genius wasn't just in design, it was in understanding the newly emerging currency of influence. Long before influencer marketing was a corporate buzzword, Rayisa was already inviting bloggers to brunch. She realized that the future of retail wasn't on a mannequin, but on a person you wanted to be. When Revolve acquired her brand, they didn't just buy the clothes, they bought her brain. She architected the now famous Revolve Festival, a marketing juggernaut that rivals Coachella itself, turning a clothing retailer into an aspirational lifestyle empire. When Revolve went public in 2019, valuing the company at over $1.2 billion, Rayisa's equity and leadership positions cemented her status as one of the most successful modern Filipina entrepreneurs in the US. She didn't just ride the wave of social media commerce, she built the surfboard. Her wealth is a testament to the power of pivoting, taking a small vintage store and scaling it into a global fashion phenomenon that dictates what millions of women wear every single day. Number 9. Huska McPherson. From the fast-paced world of fashion influence, we move to a woman who merged the exclusivity of New York high society with the grit of digital media. Huska McPherson is the kind of entrepreneur who spots a trend before it has a name. Born to a Filipina mother and an American father, Relle started her career with a simple observation. People love to see themselves at parties. In 2008, armed with little more than a camera and a laptop, she co-founded Guest of a Guest, a digital media company that chronicled the social lives of New York's elite. It became the page 6 for the millennial set, turning social voyeurism into a profitable advertising platform. But Relle wasn't content with just reporting on culture. She wanted to shape it. In a pivot that surprised everyone, she launched Lingua Franca, a luxury knitwear brand. It started as a form of therapy, hand-stitching hip-hop lyrics and political slogans onto cashmere sweaters to cope with postpartum anxiety. But what began as a hobby exploded into a multi-million-dollar business. Suddenly, celebrities from Reese Witherspoon to Meryl Streep were wearing her $400 sweaters. Relle turned embroidery into a statement of wealth and political awareness. Her marriage to hotelier Sean McPherson, who owns iconic properties like the Bowery Hotel and the Jane, places her at the center of a hospitality and fashion empire worth hundreds of millions. Yet her personal fortune is self-built, derived from two distinct companies in two different industries. Relle represents the hybrid entrepreneur, someone who can navigate the code of the internet and the craft of luxury goods with equal fluency, proving that the most profitable niche is often the one you stitch yourself. Number 8. Christina Calvo. While fashion and media capture the headlines, the real heavy lifting of the economy happens in the sectors we often take for granted, like the energy that powers our lights. This is where Christina Calvo built her quiet empire. As the co-founder of Great Eastern Energy, Christina didn't just enter a male-dominated industry, she entered one of the most complex, regulated, and cutthroat sectors in America, the energy grid. The daughter of Filipino immigrants, Christina saw an opening when the energy markets in the Northeast United States began to deregulate. While others saw confusion, she saw opportunity. Alongside her husband, she founded Great Eastern Energy with a mission to provide renewable and sustainable energy solutions to businesses and homeowners in New York, New Jersey, and Massachusetts. This wasn't a cute startup in a garage. This was high-stakes infrastructure. They had to navigate volatile commodity prices, government compliance, and massive logistical challenges. Under her leadership, Great Eastern Energy grew into a powerhouse, generating over $100 million in annual revenue. Christina's wealth is built on the most reliable commodity of all, necessity. Fashion trends change, restaurants close, but people always need to turn the lights on. Her success is a powerful reminder that Filipina entrepreneurship in America isn't limited to service or healthcare. It extends to the very power lines that keep the American economy running. She is a titan of the real economy, proving that you can build generational wealth by solving boring, essential problems at a massive scale. Number 7. Monnique Luier. If Christina Calvo powers the homes of the elite, our next entrepreneur dresses them for their most important days. Monnique Luier is a name that has become synonymous with the billion-dollar global wedding industry. Born in Cebu to a family of diplomats and jewelers, Monnique had a comfortable start. But her American empire is entirely her own creation. It began with a personal frustration. While planning her own wedding in Los Angeles, she couldn't find a dress that felt modern yet timeless, so she sketched one herself. That single sketch launched a fashion house that now rivals the historic brands of Europe. In 1996, she and her husband Tom Bugbee launched Monnique Luier Bridal. They didn't start with a massive investment, they started by selling to a few boutiques. But Monnique's eye for lace and silhouette was undeniable. Her breakout moment came when she designed the wedding gown for Britney Spears, a pop culture moment that instantly made her a household name. Since then, she has dressed everyone from Taylor Swift to former First Lady Michelle Obama. Her company has evolved from a bridal label into a full lifestyle brand, encompassing ready-to-wear, footwear, fine jewelry, and home decor. Her estimated net worth, often cited in the hundreds of millions, comes from her ability to scale luxury without diluting it. She didn't just sell dresses, she sold a fantasy of elegance that appealed to the American market's desire for sophistication. Monnique Luier stands as a pillar of Filipino excellence in the US, proving that a designer from the Philippines could not only compete with the Vera Wangs of the world, but stand shoulder to shoulder with them. Number 6. Ling Martello. Most entrepreneurs build companies from scratch, but some operate at such a high level that they turn entire global corporations into their personal playgrounds before launching their own investment vehicles. Ling Martello is the ultimate corporate entrepreneur. A U.S. citizen of Filipino and Chinese heritage, Ling's resume reads like a Fortune 500 wish list. She served as the executive vice president for Nestlé, the largest food company in the world, and held senior leadership roles at Walmart International, where she oversaw e-commerce strategies that moved billions of dollars in merchandise. But her inclusion on this list comes from her transition from employee to owner. After conquering the corporate ladder, Ling became a founding partner of Bay Pine, a private equity firm based in Boston. Bay Pine isn't playing with small change. They manage billions of dollars in capital, investing in companies that need digital transformation. Ling uses her decades of operational experience to buy companies, fix them, and sell them for massive profits. Her personal net worth is built on a foundation of high-level executive compensation, which often includes millions in stock options, and her carry, share of profits, from her private equity deals. She represents the intellectual capital of the Filipino diaspora. She didn't build a product, she mastered the mechanics of global capitalism itself. Ling shows that the path to extreme wealth in America isn't always about starting a small business. Sometimes, it's about acquiring the skills to manage the world's biggest money, and then becoming the person who decides where that money goes. Number 5. Sheila Lio Marcelo. If Ling Martello mastered the old economy, Sheila Lio Marcelo revolutionized the new one. She is the founder of Care.com, a platform that did for babysitting and elder care what Uber did for taxis. Born in the Philippines and raised in a family of entrepreneurs, Sheila came to the US and earned degrees from both Harvard Law School and Harvard Business School. But her billion-dollar idea came from a personal crisis, the struggle to find childcare for her own 2 sons while juggling a demanding career. She realized that the care economy was fragmented, inefficient, and operating largely on word of mouth. In 2006, she launched Care.com. It wasn't an overnight success. She had to convince investors that babysitting was a scalable tech business. She faced the classic double bind of being a woman and a minority in the male-dominated world of venture capital. But Sheila persisted, raising millions in funding and growing the platform to serve over 25 million families across 20 countries. In 2014, she took Care.com public, becoming one of the very few Filipina-American women to ring the opening bell at the New York Stock Exchange. 6 years later, the company was acquired by IAC for $500 million. Sheila's exit was a massive liquidity event that cemented her fortune, but she didn't stop there. She has since launched Proof of Learn, a Web3 education platform, continuing her streak of founding companies that solve human problems with high-tech solutions. Sheila Lio Marcelo proved that women's work, caregiving, was actually a billion-dollar industry waiting for a CEO who understood its value. Number 4. Lilia Clemente. Long. Before Sheila Lio Marcelo was ringing the bell at the NYSE, Lilia Clemente was storming the floor of Wall Street when it was exclusively an old boys club. Known as the Wonder Woman of Wall Street, Lilia Clemente is a pioneer in the truest sense of the word. She arrived in the United States from the Philippines in the late 1960s to study at the University of Chicago. She was petite, female, and Asian, a trifecta that should have made her invisible in the finance world of the 1970s. Instead, she made herself indispensable. Lilia started at the Ford Foundation, where she became the first woman to manage the organization's massive investment portfolio. She caught the eye of the financial elite by spotting a trend that no one else saw: the rise of the Asian tiger economies. While American investors were obsessed with Europe, Lilia was betting on Japan, Korea, and the Philippines. In 1976, she founded Clemente Capital, her own money management firm. Her company didn't just manage millions, it managed billions. She launched the Clemente Global Growth Fund, which was listed on the New York Stock Exchange in 1987. Lilia became a bridge between American capital and Asian opportunity. Her wealth was built on her ability to see the future of the global economy before the men in suits did. She shattered the stereotype that Filipinas were only suited for support roles, proving that they could be the ones allocating the capital that builds nations. With a net worth and assets under management that have historically touched the billion-dollar mark, Lilia Clemente is the matriarch of Filipina-American finance. Number 3. Josie Nator. While Lilia Clemente was conquering Wall Street, another Filipina was leaving it to build a brand that would change the American bedroom forever. Josie Nator is the founder and CEO of the Nator Company, a luxury fashion brand that turned lingerie into high fashion. But before she was a designer, she was a shark. Josie moved to New York and rose through the ranks at Merrill Lynch to become the first female vice president in the company's investment banking division. She was making a fortune in finance, but she was bored. In 1977, she considered buying a McDonald's franchise, but a meeting with a buyer at Bloomingdale's changed everything. Josie showed the buyer an embroidered blouse from the Philippines. The buyer said, "Turn it into a nightshirt." That single piece of advice launched a lingerie empire. Josie took the intricate craftsmanship of the Philippines, the embroidery, the silkwork, and repackaged it as high-end loungewear for the American woman. Today, the Nator Company is one of the few fashion brands that is still privately held and family-owned, giving Josie complete control over her destiny. She sells to every major department store in America, from Saks Fifth Avenue to Neiman Marcus. Her net worth is estimated in the hundreds of millions, derived not just from sales, but from the immense value of owning a heritage brand outright. Josie Nator didn't just achieve the American dream, she redesigned it, proving that a Filipina could leave the security of Wall Street and build something even more valuable, a legacy that bears her own name. Number 2. Lolita Nicholas Lewis. If Josie Nator is the queen of fashion, Lolita Nicholas Lewis is the empress of the boardroom. Her story is one of tragedy turned into triumph, a narrative so compelling it reads like a movie script. Lolita was a lawyer by training, the first Asian woman to pass the New York bar without studying law in the U.S. She married Reginald F. Lewis, a legendary African-American businessman who acquired Beatrice International in a billion-dollar leveraged buyout, creating the largest black-owned business in the U.S. at the time. When Reginald died suddenly in 1993, Wall Street vultures circled. They expected the grieving widow to sell the company for parts or run it into the ground. They underestimated Lolita. She didn't just step into her late husband's shoes, she put on her own heels and marched into the boardroom. As chairwoman and CEO of TLC Beatrice International, she didn't just maintain the company. She streamlined it. She cut costs, sold off non-core assets, and increased profitability. In 2000, she sold the company's operations for hundreds of millions of dollars, securing a massive fortune for her family. Lolita's wealth is estimated to be over $600 million. But she is not just a wealthy widow, she is a business titan in her own right who saved a billion-dollar empire from collapse. Today, she is a kingmaker in both American and Filipino politics, a philanthropist, and an investor who funds the next generation of entrepreneurs. She proved that stewardship is the ultimate form of entrepreneurship, taking a legacy and ensuring it survives the storm. Number 1. Susan Okampo. And finally, we arrive at number 1. The richest Filipina entrepreneur in America is a woman you have likely never seen. She has no Wikipedia page, no verified Instagram, and rarely gives interviews. She is the ghost billionaire of Silicon Valley. Her name is Susan Okampo. Susan Okampo is the co-founder of Sirenza Micro Devices and a major shareholder in Maycom Technology Solutions, a semiconductor giant that builds the chips powering our modern world. Her story is the epitome of the Silicon Valley dream, stripped of the vanity. Born in the Philippines, she came to the U.S. and, alongside her late husband John Okampo, dived into the complex world of radio frequency, RF, and microwave semiconductors. In 1984, they founded Sirenza Micro Devices in a garage, the classic tech origin story. But unlike the flashy app founders of today, they built hardware. Essential, difficult, high barrier to entry hardware. Susan served as the CFO and treasurer, managing the company's finances with an iron grip. They took Sirenza public in 2000 and eventually sold it for nearly $1 billion, but they didn't retire. They took their earnings and reinvested them into Maycom Technology Solutions, engineering another massive turnaround. Today, Forbes estimates Susan Okampo's net worth at over $2.3 billion. She is a self-made billionaire who built her fortune on the physical backbone of the internet and telecommunications. Her wealth dwarfs that of celebrities and socialites, yet she walks down the street completely unrecognized. She represents the pinnacle of immigrant success, the quiet accumulation of astronomical wealth through hard science, financial discipline, and the refusal to stop building. She is not just the richest Filipina entrepreneur in America. She is one of the richest self-made women in the world, proving that the loudest person in the room is rarely the one with the biggest bank account. From the kitchen tables of the East Village to the hushed boardrooms of private equity, and from the gleaming runways of Fashion Week to the unseen laboratories of the semiconductor industry, these women have rewritten the rules of engagement. They didn't ask for permission to enter the American economy. They kicked the door down and bought the building. They prove that the Filipino-American story is not just one of service, but of sovereignty. They are owners, founders, and tycoons who have generated billions of dollars in value, employing thousands of people and reshaping entire industries in their image. As we look at their empires, we are reminded that the most powerful export of the Philippines isn't its labor. It's the relentless, innovative, and unconquerable spirit of its women. Which of these business titans impressed you the most? Is it the quiet power of Susan Okampo or the cultural revolution of Nicole Ponka? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe to her status for more deep dives into the untold stories of wealth.